Lots of games pride themselves on how long they are. You've got Skyrim, Fallout, The Witcher. I know I've put hundreds of hours into all of these games. There's always so much to do in them. Everywhere you turn, everywhere you look, there's something new to see and something new to do. There's thousands of quests, hundreds of characters to talk to. There isn't really an end to the games. There's also great games that pride themselves on how short they are. They end up being very linear, but this can be a good thing. It can allow for a more guided experience with a more directed and sometimes even better story than their larger, longer counterparts. One of my favorite games of all time only takes around an hour and a half to play through. This game is Journey. It's a beautiful game, one I think everyone should play if they ever have the chance. It's the story about your journey through a desert to reach the top of this mountain. I don't want to say too much since it'll make the game sound terrible. It's really something that you need to play, or even just watch someone play. I like that it's so short since I can replay the entire game over and over. It takes the same amount of time as watching an average length movie, and I tend to rewatch movies a lot. A big advantage short games have over longer ones is that they don't usually end up feeling repetitive. Since the game is so short, they don't need to make you do the same thing over and over. Either shoot people or swing a sword at people, cast magic at a bunch of people. You do these things, but in a smaller time frame so it doesn't feel like it's just the same thing over and over. In Journey, there's a level that's a small puzzle. You've got one that is fast and you're surfing down these giant sand dunes. You've got one that's like a stealth part. You've got one that's another puzzle mixed with stealth elements. Like, different parts of the game feel very different because they're introducing new mechanics or changing old ones, stuff like that. Short games can also work much better in some genres than others. Like, I wouldn't expect a giant action RPG with an open world to only take me 3 hours. You wouldn't get to see any of this world. You wouldn't get to build your character and all that, the stuff that's very prominent in an RPG game. On the other hand, a 3-hour horror game, that's something that I could get into. In one of my last videos, I talked about how much I liked PT, and one of the things that made it so good is that it was short. It only takes about a half hour. Now, if it was a 12-hour game, it would be very boring. Since there's not too many different mechanics in the game, you'd just be repeating yourself over and over and over. So the short time really helps us out. Now, that's not saying that all horror games need to be short. I've played ones that are 12 hours long that were great, like Alien Isolation. But I think it's a genre that could really benefit from having shorter playtimes. Short games are something that I'm a big fan of. It's nice to be able to play through an entire game in a single sitting. That's not to say that I haven't played through long games in a single sitting, but it's much more bearable when the game is only 2 or 3 hours long. I think that games tend to get overlooked when they have short playtimes, and I think that this is something that it'd be nice to just give the shorter games a try. Something like Abzu or Journey or Limbo. It's easy to play through them in a single sitting, and it's easy to play them again and again and again because they're so short. A controller, you've got dual analog sticks, a D-pad that instead of being the traditional cross design is 4 separate buttons. You've got your 4 face buttons, a plus and minus button, and maximize their profits. They released the same game, Grand Theft Auto 5, over 18 months, where each release was better than the last.